Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Nicole and today I'm going to be making a dress for my sister, another project for her for Disneyland because Disneyland's still closed, but whenever it opens back up later, she wants to wear all these things that I'm making for her, so hopefully that happens in the near future. But what she wants me to make this time is a dress inspired by this yellow one that I'll put a picture here. She wants me to make an exact replica of this skirt, jumper, dress with straps, whatever you want to call it. So if you want to see how I made this dress, keep on watching and I'll see you at the end of the video. So before starting any project, obviously you want to do all your measurements, sketch out a design of how you're going to cut everything out and how many pieces that you need. So that's what I did here. I folded the skirt with my sketch to how I was going to cut it out and measured all the straps and the waistband and how exactly I was going to construct this dress. So here's the material that you'll need. This is a stretchy blue thread. And we got some measuring tape and a blue zipper. I always get like the longest one because you can always cut it later and however long you need it. So here you can see I have the fabric folded in fourths, so it's like a square. And I ordered 2 yards of this. And here I am measuring 2 1/4 inches and using a chalk square and cutting that out for the straps. And then I'm doing the same thing for the waistband, but it's going to be 4 inches. And I'm only cutting out 2 of those instead of 4. So now I'm taking the folded edges of my fabric, and that's what you're seeing here. So that way when I'm cutting it out in the cutting the circle out, it's all one big circle. I would practice on like smaller fabric, the folds, that way you can get it right the first time. But now I'm measuring 36 inches down, and you can't see it in this frame, but I'm doing this same thing that I'm doing with the waistband down below, like that. And here I'm just making sure that I did everything right. Oh, I guess it's 23 inches. So making sure that it's all the same. And then once I'm satisfied with that, I will cut that out and show you guys what it looks like after it's all cut out. Yay! I did it! So here I have the straps, and the first thing I'm going to do is sew these 2 together because they were not long like the middle ones, so I'm going to make them 2 long strips. So we have our strips. I have just sewn these to make them longer, make them 1 strip, and these are going to go in the inside, so it's going to look like this, and it's going to be on the bottom part. So now I'm sewing those right sides together and folding this down so that it doesn't get bulky when I turn it inside out. And then I'm just finishing that off by cutting the edges. So as you can see, everything is flat. Pro tip, keep a lint roller nearby when cutting stuff like this. So this next part is going to take a while unless you have one of those tools to flip these inside out, but I just use a chopstick and go ham. So I just watched a TV show and did my best and flipped these all inside out. And then coming back once it's all done, I am ironing those flat because they're going to be laying flat on the shoulders. So this next part is a little bit tricky to explain, but I'm putting 2 pleats in this skirt because it is a little big on the waist. So to make it smaller, I'm taking these pleats in towards the center, and I tried it on and measured it to my sister's waist size, and these chalk marks is where I decided I wanted the pleats to go. So I put the pleats on while I was wearing it and then made chalk marks for where I want them to go. So these 2 chalk marks are meeting together, and this chalk mark on the end is indicating where the back part of the pleat is going. So you have one big pleat, and I'm pinning that up, and I'm only sewing the pleats. I'm not sewing all the way around the skirt. I'm just sewing those pleats in place so that when I attach the waistband, I don't have to worry about them moving around. Alright, now we have our pleated skirt. It's so cute! Alright, so now we have the waistband, and we're just going to sew it all along this side here. Perfect. Alright, so we got the waistband on, and I'm saving a spot for the zipper here. And I'm going to serge the waistband and the skirt together so that it has a clean edge and doesn't fray. Okay. So we got the serged edge. Beautiful. So we want this, I don't think we want the zipper to be that long, so we're just gonna do it enough to get in it, so I feel like even like half is good. And come all the way up here down to like right here. So okay, so I have cut in a hole in the back of the skirt to put the zipper in. Now I'm going to take this to the iron and fold it down. I'm going to put it in like this backwards. Perfect. And you're like, so this is what I want to do in the front, but like I want to be crisscross in the back like this. And I just want it to be even with like the zipper, you know what I mean? Like I just want it to be evenly spaced, but I can't see it. And like I need to make sure I sew the straps in the right place. I don't want them to be too loose in it. So I just need your help. So I'm sewing these two together to make this piece one long cohesive piece. So this piece that I'm sewing right now is the other side of the waistband. I decided to do the straps last, but I did put chalk marks on where I want the straps to be, so that's what you're going to see while I'm sewing this piece in. And then I'm going to take this to the iron and press it down like that. So now when we open it, we get two pieces, and then this will be folded in like that and pressed. So I'm gonna go press that now. I'm ironing this down. You can see where I put the chalk marks for the straps, since I'm going to be doing those last, and every now and then I'll reapply the chalk if it starts to kind of go away, but this way it's easier for me to see where I want the straps to go, and I will do that last. So in order for everything to be clean, what I'm going to do is fold in this hem on the inside of the skirt right over where I serged it, so that I know when I sew the front side, I know that I will definitely be sewing the back too. I know that sounds really confusing, but ironing it makes it a lot easier because then everything will stay in place. And then you'll see later that I will pin it all down because I'm going to sew a top stitch onto the front, and I want to make sure that I'm actually sewing the other side, because sometimes if you get off track, then it will come loose or you're really not sewing it. So I just want to make sure that I sew everything together and everything's clean. I have not mastered the art of the invisible everything here, so for now I'm just pinning this in place, and I'm going to sew a top stitch all the way down here from the front, because really the back doesn't really matter as much. Now our last step is the hem. So I went and ironed everything down so you can see the hem is in there, and we're just gonna sew that straight. So if you ever tried to sew a circle skirt hem before, you know that it can be very frustrating. One thing that's really frustrating about it is sewing a double hem, which I avoided at all costs while doing this, since it's a very, very big skirt. So what I did was I serged the edge and then folded it over once, ironed the whole thing, and then used my clips to keep it down, and that worked miracles. It's amazing, and I had no problems with it, so that's a really good tip for that. So the next thing I'm going to be showing is how to put in these straps. So I have the stitch that I'm unstitching right now with my seam ripper, and I'm going to be stitching between the two chalk marks that I made for each strap. And since I serged the inside, the waistband will not come apart on the top, so in case you don't have a serger, you might want to go back in and finish those side edges so that the rest of the waistband doesn't come out. But here I'm just shoving in that strap that I made, making sure that the strap is nice and in place with a pin, and I'm going to be taking a needle and thread and showing you guys how to invisible stitch these straps inside this waistband. So we got our knot nice and secured at the edge of my string, And what I'm gonna do is start by going in to the fabric from the inside and coming out near the top. Pulling that all the way through. Looks like I used a really long piece of thread here. And shoving the end back inside. And here I realized I wanted to do it the other way because it's a lot easier for me. So with the visible stitch, we're going to go inside, just like the first one. Grab the other side. And you're just going to keep going back and forth, but try not to catch the other side of the fabric. You're only doing the fabric from the inside. So you'll just repeat that, grabbing a little tiny bit of fabric from one side, from the other side, and pulling it through. This works really well if you're using a longer needle, so keep that in mind when sewing anything like this together. You just keep grabbing from both sides, pulling it through. And we'll do that same technique with all 4 of the straps. And to finish it off, so once you got everything sewn and it's nice and tight, you're going to go back through the same thing you've been doing, but instead of grabbing another piece, you're going to pull it all the way through. But towards the end, you'll leave a little loop, just like that. And you'll take your needle and go back through the loop to create a knot, and then pull that tight. And now you've closed your stitch. So you're going to do that a few more times. Make those knots. And then once you feel like it's nice and secure, you'll take your needle and go through the fabric. Pull it through and cut it off. That way the fabric is inside. And you're all done. Pull that to make sure it's tight. And we are finished with our circle skirt dress.